the main thing. The drinking water is not, we have to purify the drinking water every time. So because of that, the kids get sick, they get a rash, they get itch all on them. But I'm always here making sure that we bring people, bring doctors. Liberia, 1990, there was a civil war that took us for 15 years. We had to leave our home. We went in the forest. I was there for 3 months. We came back home. Everybody was scattered. A lot of people died. And we have display centers where people left their home. They went to take refuge in this home. And during that process, the Lord laid on my heart and shared with my husband that we should go to display center. We call it display center, those that were displaced from their home. And we went, we saw a lot of kids. We used to go there every week, 3 times in a week to cook for them. And in that process, we found out that we have less fortunate, we have orphans, we have abandoned kids. And we prayed that we should cater to them. We started going around asking people to help us to cater to the kids, to take them home. But it was impossible because people thought that no food, nothing we had. Why is it that we want to cater to kids? But because the Lord lay on our heart, we started asking people, and the Lord make a way, and we took 75 kids from the display centers, and we brought them home. The less fortunate, we have most of them were orphans because they could not find their parents. Their parents were killed during the war. Some of them left their children, they ran away because of the shooting, and some of them they were just rolling about in the camps. So we took them, and we started believing God. How can we take these children? We started asking people. We started going to churches, asking pastors, asking people, and it was funny to them. They were like a fun to them. How can we do that when there's no food? Everybody looking for food. Then in that process, we went to WFP. They gave us a clinic, a bag of clinic, 200 bags. And like to me, I said, what will we do with this? We can't do nothing with this because when the children drink this, they will go in the toilet. Nothing, no food, no corn meal, no oatmeal, nothing. But we took that bag, we sowed some, we sowed half of it, and the Lord provided. The Lord gave us money from what we sowed. We were able to buy food, we were able to buy mattresses, we were able to even rent. We started renting, and we went back to the display center. We started taking the kids from there, and we had 75 children that we brought. And they stay with us, some of them stay with us up to 4, 5, 6 years. Then we start tracing their parents. Those that we can find their parents, they went. But the remaining left with us. Today we have more than 10 of them. We have not found their parents yet. They are in high school. We have some will be graduating in November. I think we have 3 of them graduating in November. Then the other ones, they are in house, they're in 10th grade, 11th grade. Then we have one of them graduated, but he said he want to be a nurse. He want to be a nurse to come back and work. We have 3 of them were teaching here. They grew up here. They went to school here. They graduated here. They went to teacher college, and they came back to teach in this orphanage home. For now, we have 48 children, and most of them were brought by the government from Ministry of Gender. And they only bring them. They take them from the street, or take them from villages and just bring them. We all support. They're not helping. They're not doing anything. We have to go out to look for support for them because we want to give them hope. We want to give them hope. Yes. Most of them, nobody know who they are. Like the one that grew up with us. Now they're teaching here. The other one want to be a doctor to come back here. So we don't know. Some of them can become president. Some of them can become pastors tomorrow. So we have to take them in. But the government is not helping. They are not helping. We need mattresses. We need food. We need clothes. We need, when school open, we need copy books.
One second.
So
Can you move the camera so we can see you again? Its camera is going up, 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 up at the ceiling. Come back down. There we go. So we can see you. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. And then keep going. I know I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry, ma'am.
So this is what the ministry need. We have our needs. We have a lot of needs to help the kids. So and see that Cynthia, as I said, I went to the village and I met them taking this. They wrap her in a cloth. She was already wrapped because she was a skeleton. She was just like a skeleton. Nobody ever knew she was going to live. And when I went, I saw her. I said, "What is happening?" She said, "Oh, she died last night. We are about to bury her." I said, "Let me see." And when I opened the cloth on her, I said, "No, this girl is not dead. She's hungry." I said, "No, she died last night. She couldn't move." Which was true because her teeth, everything, her mouth, everything was close together. But I asked them, I said, "Let me look for water." I brought the water and she took in and she drank the water. I said, "No, she's not dead. She's hungry. She's thirsty. Can I take her?" And they said, "No, she's dead." I said, "I will carry her. When she died, I will bury her." And I took Cynthia. We came. I took her to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 3 months. She was in the hospital because she was a skeleton. There was no flesh on her, only bones. So she stayed in the hospital for 3 months. And Cynthia lived here until she graduated. She's now 22 years of age. She always in and out here. She want to go to college. And Jam, this is one of the things. When the children graduate from here, no help. Some of them no college again, no schooling again because no money to send them. I can't do all because I want to see them go to college. I want to see them go to trade school to help themselves, but no support. Africa is not like America. You go around and say, it's a hard place. Africa is a hard place. I have said some of them finish high school, but no college. They just sit waiting, nothing to do. Now, in October, November, I have 3 of them getting out of high school.
Yes.
They want to go to trade school, no money.
Yeah.
I have other ones that are coming up. They want to learn something, nothing.
How much money do you need for each child to go to school? How much does it cost for each child to go to trade school?
Until I go find until I know what they want to do. If I know what they want to do, then I'll go to the college and find out. Then I know the price. But for now, I don't know the price of. I don't know really what they want to do now.
For the ones. Yes, ma'am. For the ones that already have graduated but can't get into school because they don't have money. I think you said there's 5, right? There's 3 that are gonna graduate, but you said there's 5 that already graduated, right?
Yes.
And can't afford school. How much would it cost for their school for those 5? What is each one school would be?
I have mostly about
what is she talking about? She's talking about trade school.
Yeah, the school and this small going.
MDTC.
Yeah, MDTC.
$200 can do per person every semester.
They say my son said every semester is $200, and they have 3 semesters, which is $2 for $600 for one person a year.
Yes. How many years to finish trade school?
2 years. 2 years for electric. If you're doing electrical work, it's 2 years. You want to do a carpentry, it's 2 years. Mechanic is like 3 years.
Yes. So it only costs.
The other boy that was going, but he dropped because of school fees. He was doing electrical. He was doing the electrical work. And sometimes we call him here to do the electrical work. But he's not in school now because of the tuition, the school fees.
Yes. So it only costs $1,200 really for one person to finish going to school. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What else? And there's 5, right, that are waiting on a trade school, and then 3 that are coming up, right?
Yeah, 3 coming up.
And then.
But they are not 3. We have not sat with the 3 that will be graduating in November. We are not sat to know what to do, what they want to do, because they still thinking, if I graduate from here, what will I do? Because right now, they call me BNT don't have money, what will we do?
Oh, at the age of 17, I had a passion to be a doctor, to come and pay back at the orphanage.
Mm. And how do you want to become a doctor, or I think she also said a nurse too, or which one?
I was studying physician assistant
Mm. Oh, that's
or
wonderful.
PA.
Yes. How many years of school is that?
It's 5 years.
Hmm. And how many? I know you had started studying already. What year are you on?
Yeah, I stopped as a sophomore too.
So two?
Second semester in college.
Oh, okay. Second semester. And what? How much? How much does each semester cost?
Per semester costs around 400.
Okay.
For the bureau, it being OH problem. Before the COVID, we've been experiencing a high economic problem. A household live on less than $2.
People that work for a whole month, they receive $25.
Yes.
Some people make the highest is $50. Sometimes those that work with the government, sometimes it takes so long. It takes like 3, 4, 6 months
Yes.
before they get something. Yes, the hardship
Yeah.
is too much in
Yeah.
the country now. The hardship is too much because sometimes people live on $50. How will you have children going to school, paying rent and everything? Then they give you $50.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 months, 6 months before they get paid. There is no running water now.
Oh no.
The country, the Russia is so hard. I have some lady work with me, Jan. It's so sad to look at them and just give them like $50. I have some lady that sleep with the kids.
Yes.
They sleep there with the kids. I'm not paying them. They just love the job. $50 for somebody that has their children, have their family is nothing. But this is what we give. Like whatsoever you give us, we have to take some from there and keep it for and give it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. We don't want to say it, but the country is very difficult to live here.
Yes.
But because God gave me this vision, this compassion, so I have to come back. Is that the
How
case?
how much does it cost per child? Really?
Or on the line of eating or anything?
Yeah. For eating, school, and yeah, for eating and school, really. How much does it cost per child?
It will cost for eating in school. It costs us $50 a month. How they appreciate every cent that we have.
How much does electricity cost?
We don't even have it. Sometimes it go for months.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it goes for months. The last time when before I came from the States, there was some Marine at the embassy that used to visit us. They went and built a solar panel. They put a solar panel on the house. They were giving us current. They said something broke on it that cost $1,000. But I don't believe that. We brought 2 persons, and the other man said 1,000, the other man said 5, the other man said 6.
There's a lot of suffering that Isabel has gone through herself that she doesn't always talk about. 4 of her siblings were killed during the war, one by an accident she never specifies, one by raging diarrhea, which is actually one of the leading causes of death in most of the world. I mean, an understandably horrible death that most of us wouldn't even want to think about. There was a sister whose death I can't remember, unfortunately, and another one who most horribly she described as having been butchered by an animal. The way she describes this happening, it sounds like either she saw it happen or she found the remains. Both equally terrible. The men were targeted for the rebels, and I wanted to share with you some of the ways that Isabel actually survived when she was in as she mentioned, she was in the forest for 3 months and what she lived on. So she used to walk for about 8 hours in search of food. She says there was killing all around them, but she says, the Lord kept me from bullets. Those are her words. Her little sister gave birth in the forest without food and clothes for her and the baby. Her advice to anyone that found themselves in this situation is interesting because it's predominantly mental advice, more than physical or practical advice. It's to be strong. She did it for 3 months. She does mention that she came across something that looked like green beans but didn't know what it was, and then everyone got seriously sick. Her husband couldn't talk, her little sister fainted, her brother couldn't see clearly. You have to be so careful, when you're between starvation and poisoning. It's tough decisions there. Of course, her advice was be brave and be strong. Don't follow crown. If you're a Christian, ask God for directions, and be mindful of fear, because fear kills. Isn't that interesting? Because people panicked, left the area where they were hiding, and died. Isabel and her husband used to go to refugee camps to share what little food they had with the refugees, and it was one day very early in this process that she noticed a little child running around who seemed lost. She asked for his parents. People said he didn't have any, and she began to, her eyes began to open to more and more of these kids who just don't have parents. It was kind of a running joke, as she's mentioned in her church circles, that they would say, you have nothing, and here you want to take all these children. I mean, you don't have food or a house or anything for this yourself. And I think if you really think about it, you can't blame them. When I did medical school in Puerto Rico, I heard Christians there say it was irresponsible for someone to want to donate a kidney to a stranger, which to me was kind of the ultimate love. But they were like, what if you need it for your family? And I've heard Christians in the mainland U.S. who are very wealthy say it's optional, not a duty, to take care of the poor. And there's a prevailing desire for safety, a fear of taking risks. So you can't quite judge the Liberian churches who, having nothing, looked around at all these orphans and kind of said, screw it, I can't do anything about it. I mean, you think about the logistics of feeding 75 children, and how do you possibly find a place for them to stay? I mean, in your house there isn't room. How on earth are you going to feed all of them? But Isabel was a woman of solutions instead of problems, and of faith instead of fear. She began to go from church to church anyway, and gradually she actually did have enough money to buy a small house, and this is because she was very clever. She was willing to find a way. Some other organization, they gave her 200 bags of milk, as she's mentioned, and she was concerned that with nothing to eat, with only the milk, the children would develop diarrhea and die. She sold half of these bags, got enough to pay rent on a place and to get them food, right? So there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, she wasn't going to give up on these kids. And maybe she was inspired by the widow in Scripture who, at Elijah's behest, sold olive oil to save her family. I don't know if you understood or heard the story about Cynthia, but Cynthia is one of many, many children that she rescued. That she was told this is impossible. She was told in that case, this child is dead. And she said, yeah, the baby looked like a skeleton, but when she put her head close, she could hear breath. And she said, no, this child is just starving. And that child is 22 years old now. So after 2 decades in Liberia establishing an orphanage, she moved to the U.S., spending 9 years trying to raise money for it, right? The churches in Liberia were poor and couldn't keep that going. The people, the folks that she had helping her out in the United States stopped helping out. So what was she going to do for money? So she had some ladies who were willing to help and watch the kids for free, and who did that for 9 years. And her husband stayed behind as well to watch the kids. So that's 9 years, really mostly apart that whole time, working as a janitor. And I remember, and that was around the time that I met her. I met her right before she went back to Liberia. I first met her when I was working late for a military hospital here in the United States. She was working as a janitor. It's a passage in Hebrews that says the lesser is best by the greater. But over the following evenings, the scattered conversations that Isabel shared with a lonely family medicine resident became my comfort, my blessing, from this woman so much greater than I. Janitors at Kerdamsi and Fort Hood in the U.S. are treated with no mercy. If they miss a day of work by accident, they can be instantly fired, even if they had a health reason or transportation reason causing this. The other two janitors that I came to know through Isabel both had health problems that were not effectively treated by the insurance that they had. One young Liberian found herself up against several $100, I think it was exactly $400 treatment for the flu that she could not pay, so she never got treatment for her back problems. Another woman was not given appropriately early evaluation for a mass in her spine, likely because of translation issues. At Isabel, when I met her as a janitor, I mean, she never complained. I remember I was working one Thanksgiving. I had no family in Texas anyway, and Isabel had invited me to come to her Thanksgiving whenever I managed to get away. I was doing rounds on the newborn babies, enjoying the quiet of a fairly empty hospital with only essential staff, free from the annoying interference of the more controlling nurses and administrators. You know, the kind of person who knows better than you about your patient care, even though they've never been to medical school because they improved the numbers geared to make the hospital money. You know, the kind of person who controls everyone around them and still manages to get the holidays off because they deserve it. It was nice. It was quiet. There weren't all those people there. But then suddenly whispers and warnings permeated through the hospital because the hospital commander was coming in. What is the hospital commander coming in for? I mean, I admit I kind of smirked, and people hate it when I smirk, but the smirk was deserved. He was coming to get his picture taken while he gave out turkeys to the patients stuck in the hospital over Thanksgiving. He had a glorious entourage, all decked out in their blue army dress uniforms, their chests studded with colorful war candy. The vast majority of the awards in the modern army have nothing to do with combat or bravery. You can get one for just going on a deployment or writing a good paper. And there's even one for just existing in the army during 9/11. You wouldn't know that with their chests stuck out and, you know, the strutting. It's not uncommon for a commander at military balls to insist that captains take pictures with him so you can see by contrast how very many medals he has on his dress blues compared to everyone else. That's just part of Army officer culture, this kind of entitlement. I met the commander's eyes for a moment as he passed by with his photographer. I was reminded of this passage that says, "When you give to the poor, do not do as the hypocrites do and bring your trumpeter to announce your good work in the city square." My Messiah once said that. Commanders of his time didn't have photographers, they had trumpets instead. But those words are so much harder than we think, aren't they? Like, all of our giving programs online include social media buttons so we can share how good we are with others. We call it spreading awareness, and I admit to feeling like if I tell everyone else I'm doing good, then they'll do more good. So, and of course we have some ways to share good. We have to have ways to share good programs. But at what point am I becoming the photograph of a well-dressed man of power handing out turkeys versus a practical call to action begging you to join the work? As the commander continued down the hall, I could only think about Isabel working in, the lowest position in the hospital compared to this man with all his power. The first shall be last, the Messiah once said, and in heaven she's going to be, Isabel's going to be the one studded with awards, the one who has nothing, who's working in the lowest position of the hospital, who basically has given her life to help these kids, and who isn't walking around getting, photographers and money and awards for it, right? She's going to be the one studded with awards, and hers will not be pompous, but they'll be glorious. Thanksgiving with Isabel's family was shy but good. I mean, those were the good days, even though I didn't know it, and I miss going to lunch with her once a week and learning about potato greens and spicy chicken. The memory brings a soft, full, well-fed feeling. I was working often 80 hours a week in the hospital. I was a brand new physician, completely overwhelmed by a creeping illness that was suddenly exacerbated by an unrealistic work schedule. I regret spending so much time worrying about my position in the hospital, kind of like that commander, and I regret almost all of the time I spent socializing with other military medical professionals, desperate to be liked, but too rebellious and different to ever earn any place in those safe, successful hearts that think it's reasonable to spend $50 on a meal while people like Isabel have nothing. I wish I had spent even more time with Isabel before she left. I am so grateful for the opportunities I did take, and I think that's one lesson that I learned from her, is that The people who are rich and powerful are often a waste of your time. The people who you think are going to help you get ahead at work, for the most part, they are not, and they're going to betray you at the first sign of weakness. I mean, none of the female residents in my year or above me who pretended to care about me and my disease really kept contact. They all looked down on me for my weakness, even though they were doctors. They had little to no compassion for my daily chronic pain and worsening chemical depression. I mean, my best friend at that time, also a military doctor, seriously used and then deserted me in my time of need. After a relationship so deeply emotionally manipulative and mind-altering that my depression spiraled and I had to be hospitalized. Isabel never judged me, even when I was very stupid and much wealthier than her. And not making as good decisions as she was. She saw my pain with such a deep compassion, even though, despite what I had. I know of people who are so poor that they feel uncomfortable, angry, or cruelly unsympathetic towards people who have more than they, and I understand their justification. But Isabel was so rich in spirit that she didn't see it that way. She wasn't like that she was so compassionate and gentle towards me. And one of my life goals is to be able to support her like she supported me. I may not be as rich in spirit as she is. I may not be as strong or brave. I do have more money than she does. Most of us in the United States do. So I would encourage you, she's going to go ahead and take you on a little tour of the orphanage now. And I encourage you to think about some of these things these kids need and how you can be a part of their lives, even in a very small way.
This is the library that we're sitting in to talk.
Yes.
We have some books here. This is what we have here for now. We're trying to create a library. We need some books.
Hello. Hello. What's your name?
Our name is Susanna.
Hi, Susanna. Hello. Oh, hello again. How are you doing? Hi. Hello. Hello.
This is Yasa. She's the one always asking for you, Yasa. These are the kids they just brought, the government brought. Where's Vera? This is the dining hall. Yeah, say hi to them.
Hi. Hello.
We're trying to fix the dining hall for them.
Yes. Hello. Hi. Hello. How are you?
We are fun.
You're fine. Good. Are you playing a game right now?
Yes.
Yes.
This is
Julie.
This is Julie.
My name is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. What is your name?
My name is Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Hello. What's everybody else's name?
Yes, we are okay.
What's your only name? Call your
My
name.
name is Mommy.
Call your name, be mommy.
Mommy.
Hello.
Okay, let me take you in the room. You see how the room, we need mattresses?
Yes.
You see the room? Yeah.
How much does a mattress cost?
The mattress is $30 a piece.
And how many mattresses do you need?
Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
8.
9, 10. We have some sleeping on the floor. So in this room alone, we need 15 mattresses.
Yes.
Then in this other room, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mattresses here. So the boys, these are the boys' room.
Ah, yes. Okay, the boys' room.
Yeah, the boys, the bigger boys. We need mattresses for them. So the two rooms cover about 25 mattresses. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 mattresses here. I'm taking you in a big girls' room. They get blue and red. Can you imagine how red in their room, red lights? They don't have nowhere to go. They don't have toys. And when they hear they don't have video, they want to at least watch some video. So if you can, they want to ask for a request, if you can get one for them. So anytime you send us money, we use it on the case to buy medication. So tomorrow, the doctor and I, he's going to get a lot of medication
For malaria.
To get a lot of medication. He tested them. Most of them have malaria.
About where you can be a hero, and at the very least take some knowledge and learning from Isabel's life and what she teaches, and let it influence you in the successful mental traits of gratefulness and the successful mental skills of not worrying about the wrong people, and of believing in possible things.